knockout matches for today. And this set, we'll be watching the USA2 semifinal between Team Chen and Team Eckert. And it looks like Chen had a 17-imp lead going into the second segment today. And yeah, we're going to see a lot of system variants. In fact, actually, the main table is going to be there are only two partnerships in the entire event who had a system which was described as highly artificial. You might need to prepare a special defense against them, and we have both of those partnerships playing against each other at the main table. East West playing a strong diamond, North South playing a Joe group Brad Moss kind of variation of 2 or 1 in some spots, precision in some spots, and the other table I believe is just 2 or 1 at both tables. And joining us back on commentary, of course, Sarik and Adam. Welcome back.
Thank you. So yeah, it's interesting when you have these sorts of highly artificial or special systems. I think people often worry a little bit too much about having specific agreements of how do we defend against this? What do we do here? What do we do there? And a lot of times just kind of one natural and trying to sort of interfere when necessary, especially I guess over any sort of artificial strong opening on the one level. Really the goal is just to get the auction back to them at the 3 level. And especially in this sort of system where they're having to open, for example, this West hand, this 8 count with 0445 with a heart. Sometimes it's going to be hard for them to sort of to find the right place to play. And so just by being sort of a relatively solid citizen, when they're wrong, we can get them, and that's really important because they're going to be wrong some of the time. I mean, I saw one hand last set where they went for 1100 on a pretty innocuous looking hand that just their system kind of made it necessary for them to bid a certain way, and though you have to be able to pick up on those swings.
Yeah, so. And this is quite unfortunate because at the secondary table they reached 3 spades, and over here they're going to reach 4 spades. It's not a great 4 spades, but with Ace of Hearts on side, Queen of Spades dropping.
Sometimes it's better.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it if you're Team Chen.
Yeah. I mean, that is the nice thing about having it be a full day match, right? When it's a full day match, you hope that most of these things sort of over the course of 60 boards, or in the case of even a longer 2-day match, you hope that they kind of balance each other out, right?
Absolutely.
And I mean, on this auction with partner known to have 8 to 11, I suppose 4 spades is sort of a reasonable gamble. They don't really know what our hand is, and maybe good things will happen.
Yep.
Yeah. It's we bought kind of the worst case from partner, right? A spade void, a minimum, and so on, and even still, we actually at least today are probably going to be making it. So
as long as we don't drop this with the 10 or higher,
right? Well, I mean, declarer has to be thinking at this point. How do I play to make it? Right? I've lost 2 diamonds. I have to lose the Ace of Hearts, so I can't afford to lose a spade trick. Which means that in order for I'm going to need to find Queen Doubleton of Spades, or I'm just cooked to begin with.
And even Stiff Queen is not good because the 9 of Spades will come in.
Yep. Yeah. So we're specifically looking for Queen Doubleton. So if we rough low and they over rough, that's fine. We weren't making it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And interesting, in the other room, I guess this is a precision auction for the East-West pair in the other room here. But spade 2 diamonds, double pass 3 spades would not. It seems a bit odd from the East hand, even with the 7th spade, even playing precision, it's a pretty bad spade.
They're playing 2 or 1, by the way. I should correct you.
Sorry, that's right. They're
East-West, both partnerships are 2 or 1. I mean, sorry, the secondary table, both partnerships are 2 or 1.
Okay. Then I especially don't like 3 spades. I think we're about a king short of 3 spades. The 7th spade is powerful, but a bad spade suit, queen third of diamonds looks really bad. Like, there's a lot of negatives and not a whole lot of positives.
We're actually going to go down to the main table.
It looks like,
He's made an Elo play.
but
What
now
do
they
you
have the
call it?
jack of
They pitched a
diamonds.
hard.
Yeah, yeah. So I guess they maybe thought that
And
South
actually, we're
had
going to
led
go down
from
more. The queen of spades is going to, yeah, we're going to
right.
go
Well,
down two now.
they needed to pitch their other heart on the queen of spades. Right.
Yep.
If they were committing to basically committing to claiming down one, they should just commit to being down one. Right.
We actually,
here,
we could have had a squeeze
holding,
on. We could have had a squeeze on South if they had 4 clubs or Queen Jack 10, but obviously that's not the case.
Right, right, and yeah, I mean, I think when they play the third diamond, we don't really play them to be so diabolical as to have led from king and one here. This is not
I
an
agree.
auction that they are probably doing that, and we do have a legitimate sort of shot at making this. So I think I think it definitely was an error to sort of take what might have seemed like a safe down one, when we do have a shot to make.
And the risk of down 2 was basically none. I mean, it felt it was not basically none, but like we had. Like if it's down 2, it's down 2. At least at the other table, 3 spades might also be down 1, so it might just be a minor loss.
Yeah.
And pitching the heart is catering for the ace of hearts offside, which is probably the ace of hearts on side is the more likely of the two things you need to make your contract. The queen of spades doubleton is the less likely one.
I agree.
Right.
And that would have given North Ace Queen 5th of diamonds and the Ace of Hearts. They might have overcalled 2 diamonds with high frequency. It's favorable second.
Yeah. Well, and so it is worth noting that this we might look at this hand and say, oh, even if 4 spades was a success, I would still kind of class getting to 4 spades if we're evaluating the system as a system loss, right?
I agree.
Because we should also look and see, or at least consider what might happen if we were to pass with the West hand, right? It goes pass a heart. Now East probably bids 3 spades, and South has kind of a tough call, right? Either they can make kind of a light double, hoping to get somewhere good, right? Hoping maybe partner has 6 hearts or 4 diamonds or maybe 5 clubs. And getting their side into the auction, or they can pass and let them play 3 spades, which is really where you want to looking at the East-West hands where you want to play, right?
While they are playing this out, can we actually bring up the main table on the other table, because that seems to have crawled a bit faster. So there was a 4 spades earlier, which we saw. I mean, at this table, which was down 1, I kind of briefly glanced at it. It looked like there were just 4 top losers.
Yeah.
Yeah. The defense did break the spades for them, so they did end up losing only 1 spade in addition to 2 diamonds and a club. And yeah, just new cards. West has a 10 count, but we do have 6 hearts and we do have a stiff club. We have some shape.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would just probably blast 4 hearts here.
Yeah,
it rates to have some play, and we have a 10 card fifth, and I think just on, I mean, even like look at the actual hand, right? I mean, partner has pretty much a dumpster fire, and we're at least if assuming they're not getting a spade rough, which would be surprising.
Reasonable odds of making.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably making it, right? The king of club lead seems kind of normal. Win ace, draw some trumps, lead some spades, and as long as we can pick up the spades for 2 losers, we're home, right?
Yep. And there we see it. Of course, spade lead would set it immediately with spade, 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 and diamond ace.
Yeah, but right, but 10, right, like leading from 10 and a spade, especially with only a stiff trump here, just seems really unattractive, right?
Yeah.
So I think the king of club lead is totally normal.
I agree. So it's actually interesting. Look at the secondary table, how the auction is proceeded. A spade over here, just so you know, this is a 5-card opening. It's sort of like it's more of a precision style one spade, like in terms of what the strength you can expect. 2 diamonds, and we saw West elected for a double at the secondary table, which I think which kind of looks normal, except I believe West played their double as artificial game forcing. And so because of that, they might not have. And I think 2 hearts is also some other type of bid. So 2 spades might have been the forced call if they wanted to take an action and not commit to game or to show to more strength than they have.
Right. That seems unplayable. Like I'm not gonna pull punches here. Like I think that the strong diamond is an interesting system, and I understand why some people enjoy it. I also like I think that from a sort of generating imps and through sort of our actions at the table perspective, it is a big loser, and so I am I'm a bit more of a purist in my old age than I used to be. I'll put it that way. But nonetheless, I think that in the reason why I think it's unplayable is because I think we do need to have a way to sort of show these middling hands, because the most likely hand as responder is probably some like scattered 9 or 10 with 4 hearts, right? And we're just going to get shut out of a lot of our major suit fits if we don't have a way to show those. And if we have to be making raises to 2 spades on a doubleton, it means that partner also can't really compete effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they're 5-5 in spades and clubs and have a 12 count, right, they can't compete, because we could have a doubleton spade. We could be going for our lives in 3 spades. So the trade-off sort of happens on both sides, right? Where it's not just that, hey, we don't have a way to show this hand, so we have to bid 2 spades. It also means that, hey, partner can't really count on us to have 3 trumps for this active bid. And therefore their actions need to be sort of a little more constrained too.
Absolutely.
But the play in 3 spades is interesting. Declare kind of maybe not being adequately suspicious of the king of diamond lead, followed by a heart shift. Which since we lead ace from ace king normally, if we lead king and shift to another suit, traditionally that says, hey, I have a singleton here. And so I think Declare might have been more suspicious of that, but they today they gave them the rough, so now they're also going to be going 1 down in 3 spades, which they probably were anyway, to be fair. But
going back to the
main table,
yes,
there are a lot of interesting calls. I mean, 1 spade. I mean, actually, all 4 bids are actually worth talking about so far.
That's always a joy. I have to say, as East having the best hand at the table on this auction is entertaining.
They know their partner for choosing to bid 2-no trump vulnerable.
Yeah, I think if partner has a vulnerable takeout double of a spade, I have a 3-no.
I do.
Now the only question is whether on my way to 3-no I should maybe try to kill them in 2 clubs, right? Because partner does have a takeout double. I have spades and clubs locked up. It probably looks like a partner has hearts and diamonds locked up. Rather than trying to maybe bid a thin game, we might be able to just get 300, 500, or maybe even more from whatever they're doing, because I'm certain that clubs is going to be bad for them, so I actually, in all of these spots, I like to play that these doubles are penalty
after a first takeout double.
Yeah, so after they open something, we make a takeout double, and they bid something. Double is penalty.
Assuming it's a new suit and not like a raise, right?
Right, exactly. If it's a raise, double is responsive, sort of more focused on minor suit things generally. But with this 2-club bid, right there, or even if it was 1-no showing clubs, right, double would be sort of, I want to penalize clubs, and then you have 2 Q-bids available, and so you can use those 2 Q-bids to show sort of the stronger hands with the other suits.
Well, what are your thoughts on? Obviously, this is something which we've been seeing a lot, of which people always seem to talk about, which is the West End after a spade. Passes obviously could have been an option, but they could, but obviously like the offshade takeout double with 4 hearts. Some people might have overcalled 2 diamonds. Well, what are your takes on that?
I think that a 2-diamond overcall deserves everything bad that happens to it and more.
I agree.
If you're going to bid with the West End, you absolutely want to double. I think at other, certainly at other colors, I'm happy to double. If I was white, I would think this is a normal takeout double. Red, I'm definitely light, but I might still do it anyway. But I'm definitely on the sort of very low end.
So it looks like a 9 of hearts was passed around to the jack, and now North kind of had a problem, elected to play the 10 of clubs, but that's now declare is going to take 4 club tricks.
Yeah, so North probably could ask it, sort of pause and ask himself, hey, I bid clubs, why didn't partner lead them, right? And
Yep.
there are a couple possibilities, right? Maybe partner had like ace third of clubs or very good spades, but I think if partner had a club honor, they would be much more likely to be leading them here, and so nothing else really looks attractive, so I might just return a heart and kind of go passive here.
Yeah.
But here, in fact, the defense can actually do well to play another club and cut Declarer off from his hand, and sort of mess with entries a bit, making it a little bit harder for Declarer to actually sort of enjoy. They can't enjoy 3 clubs and 2 spades. And similarly, Declarer kind of couldn't really cash the king of spades earlier, because if they did, then the defense could start attacking diamonds.
And now the West End is dummies killed.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a entry nightmare, but it is kind of worth noting that had East just gone for the throat rather than bid a 2-0, right? Where maybe we're like trying to scrounge up 120, or even if partner raised a game, we're trying to get 600, right? North South were getting murdered in anything that they played, right? They
absolutely
are going to have an awful hard time taking more than 4 or 5 tricks.
And I think it looks like East West will score up 120 here. They can just knock out a heart, and they'll be able to take 1 spade, 2 clubs, and a diamond.
Yeah.
Do you cash the 2 clubs before you knock out the heart in this position? Or do you overtake the spade to enjoy that later?
I don't think it matters that much.
Well,
Because
I mean, if you return a club, probably not.
You're going to have diamond losers at the end, and you're exchanging a club, setting up a club for North for one of your diamond losers at the end.
And we did talk about this theme kind of in the first set. Like, there was a hand in which I believe North opened either a diamond or something. East preempted 5 clubs favorable, and both tables South chose to put 5 spades with this sort of like maybe like with King, Queen, Jack, and 6 to spades, and like an overall 11 count or 12 count. Kevin and I suggested double, and we talked about how they might be bidding because we're unfavorable, like that's the common theme. Like, oh, they're favorable, they might be stacking. We might need to compete ourselves and bid our game. But I mean, like, this is again one of those spots. North, I assume, probably would not have bid 2 clubs at any other colors, very realistically. But this is one of those spots where, like, yeah, we might make 3-no trump. Yeah, 600 might be better. We might lose some imps if we only set 2 clubs double, 2 or 3. I mean, like, if we're going to set it more looking at the East hand, but 3-no trump might not always be an easy hand to play, especially if things are not splitting. If things are splitting poorly, I mean, the spades we know are going to split poorly. The clubs are probably splitting poorly, whereas like we can always have a comfortable, really good plus position against them, just doubling them. And 3-0 Trump sometimes might have no play.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like Declarer managed to end play South, which kind of makes sense. South had an awful lot of spades to get rid of and couldn't really get out of their own way easily unless they shed all of them earlier.
It looks like, what do you call it? At the
I guess it's kind of a
secondary
stepping
table.
stone. Yeah, it was actually
They
kind
had
of a
no
stepping
Trump.
stone.
Yeah. There was a no Trump opening. Two clubs set up a game for us. It was not Stamen. North managed to get a lead direct double, except they found themselves on lead at the end of the auction, and we got the King of Clubs lead. So we're going to see a quick what do you call it, 620 at that table. I mean 420, excuse me.
Yeah, well, and these sorts of, this is the sort of hand, right, that when you side it, when you wind up, let's say you're playing Transfer Walsh, right, and you wind up playing a hand, with hearts in the east, you get the ace king, you get the ace of spade lead, and it feels pretty bad, right? When we talk about system losses, this is not a system loss, right? Like this sort of siding thing, right? Even if Kai and Isaac had wound up playing hearts from the east hand, right? Like that's not really a system loss because those sorts of things can truly go either way, right? If you switch the north and south hands entirely, right, then now you would want to play it from the other side, and so those things are they're a bit of bad luck perhaps, but they're really not they're not things that I would class as problematic, right?
I agree.
And
Looks
Michael
like...
Shu in the in the U26 match, Michael Shu in first favorable with his dismal 13 count decided to upgrade it to a 14 to 16 no trump, and that had the effect of wrong siding it, which perhaps is deserved, but again maybe not a system loss.
What's the alert of two spades at this table? I assume two clubs is just 2+. Okay, default. Cool.
In Kai and Isaac's table on the last board, I'm not too sure. I'm not too familiar about their methods, but after North doubles two clubs for lead direction, that might have ended up allowing East-West to play hearts from the other side. I don't know if Kai would have fed hearts if North had passed over two clubs.
Right, but I mean you can't really anticipate that, and you do want a club lead, right? King, Queen, 10, 6 the clubs. If they are playing something, you probably do want a club lead.
Right.
So yeah, this in 3-0 seems like Declarer has a lot of tricks. I think South might have considered bidding 3 spades over 3 clubs, sort of to let partner know, hey, I have honor doubleton spade if you want to play 4 spades. But the rest of his red suit holdings were so sort of no Trumpy that he elected not to, and I think that's probably the right choice, right? That he doesn't really, if partner has 6 spades, cool, they can put them down in dummy in 3-0 and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were talking about the choice for the West hand at the secondary table after a spade opening between pass, double, and 2 diamonds. West did elect to bid 2 diamonds. North 2 diamonds, and now East is probably going to face a position over here where there are doubles penalty, because he does have a really good hand.
Yeah.
He did well to pass the first time, of course.
Well, I think redouble might have been a more appropriate start, because now after we redouble and show values, now our doubles are definitely penalty, right?
Right, yeah.
When we start with pass, now maybe double is something like I have some weak hand with some clubs and
they
diamond
might have played
tolerance.
redouble as like honor doubleton or something, as opposed to specifically like a values hand.
Yeah. Although honestly, I like, this is something that I've come around on a lot. That I like doubles in all of these auctions after we've overcalled and they make a negative double or a support double, whatever it is, as just values with a doubleton in partner suit. It doesn't say anything about honor doubleton, doesn't say anything about leading the suit. Just says, hey, I have 2 of them and I have a good hand to compete.
Yep.
And that makes it a lot easier for partner to sometimes get in there. and it also makes it a lot easier to sort of have a bid for these sorts of hands where otherwise you're sort of stuck. Now, to be fair, I suppose he's seen his partners vulnerable to level overcalls, because my first bid would be 3-no trump, right, if you gun to my head. But I cannot say enough bad things about the 2-diamond overcall, so I will restrict.
That is their style.
Yes.
They will overcall 2 diamonds if they meet the criteria of 10 points, 5 diamonds.
Yes, and I think that the challenge with that is that you do need to be able to sort of have enough have judgment in when you are making some of these calls. This is something that when I've played a good amount of relay, so I'm familiar. A lot of times in relay, you don't get to have judgment in certain spots that you really would like to, right? Because you're forced into doing something, or you're forced into relaying out partner shape or whatever else, when really you want nothing more than to say, hey, please tell me about your suit quality, right? And so finding a balance there is actually quite hard.
And it looks like almost certainly, regardless of what South elects to put over here, defense is going to get 4 spade tricks, because South is forced to win every trick at this point.
Right.
And they'll then play themselves into spades, and the East can always exit passively. Well, yeah.
There's not really much that they could do from here.
The only thing that has to be careful is maybe if the spade. Okay, yeah, they did it. They exited a heart. That's good.
Yeah, so they'll finish 3 down for a push. It's funny how that works.
Missed opportunity at both tables, perhaps.
Yes, very much so. I think here as much I guess as much as I do rail on the 2-diamond overcall, it did give East a chance to redouble and kind of put the opponents in the hot seat, and knowing partner has at least something for their vulnerable to level overcall means that we're happy again to be doubling them. And I guess especially a junior bridge, when people are sort of getting out of line, it is good to be able to catch them.
This board 21 is going to be somewhat
fireworks
funny board, where I believe 4 spades.
Everyone has their own suit.
Yeah, I believe 4 spades can go down on 2 diamond roughs if the defense is careful. But 5 diamonds, of course, will be always making.
Right. Well, so let's I guess think about I guess first with the South hand, right? I think this is the sort of hand that yes, it's 10 points. Yes, we only have 3 trump, but we have a singleton and we have this good 6-card suit. I think it probably evaluates to more than a 3 spade bid. So as South, I would probably be bidding 4 spades rather than 3.
Agreed.
Because I would feel like if 3 spades passes out, I'm pretty scared that partner's going to just make game when we're still in 3. So
yeah, and 4 clubs probably some sort of kind of like fit bid. Actually, maybe South might have had the fit bid available after. No, actually, no. 4 diamonds have been natural. They didn't have the option.
Yeah, and so the 4 club bid ostensibly maybe is natural, right? It doesn't necessarily have to have a heart fit, but practically it almost always does.
Yeah,
and here, of course,
East hand is massive.
Right, like East hand is so good, in fact, facing a 4 club bid, that I feel like 5 clubs almost doesn't do it justice.
I agree.
And there, East actually has a bid available for that, right? They can bid 4-no.
4-no.
Which it isn't going to be keycard here, right? As the preemptor, you aren't going to be sort of waking up and deciding to bid keycard. So I think 4-no should sort of serve this purpose of being a good 5 club.
Oof.
Right.
And this is
And
going to be like a
maybe the
claim
only
trick one, almost.
Yeah, you can rough out a heart.
Just lose two spades. That's it. End of story.
Yeah, well, then that and that's if we don't lead the ace of diamonds, or well, I guess the other hand's on lead, so we're a little safe from that. But yeah, this is I guess had South opted for four spades, it would have actually had an interesting preemptive effect as well. That West might not have been as eager to show their clubs, worrying that maybe they're going to play in five clubs when partner has a stiff club and they belong in five hearts. They might still do it because they really do want a club lead. But
yeah, and North might take the push to five spades, whereas how the auction timed out. Now North obviously is going to respect the double with high. North kind of has to respect the double.
Doesn't feel
It's hard to
good,
pull.
but yes, and
it's hard to pull.
East should know that East might even be wanting to redouble, but these are the sorts of spots that when you know that they've got it wrong, you don't give them a second chance to get it right. You just say, thank you, I will take my 550 and go home. You don't send it back and let them run to something that either is making or one down, where now you really have to sweat it.
Yeah, and if East did redouble, you could argue both hands actually might have a five spade bid.
Yes, I agree with that. And yeah, so Levi will be a little bit disappointed to find out that Barner does not have the ace of hearts and does not actually have any defensive cards whatsoever. And that despite having taken two tricks with his ace king queen sixth and out hand, his partner wasn't really capable of beating seven clubs. So yeah. So this will be 11 quick winners.
See alert on
we'll
two spades. Take a look at the secondary table. Preempted spades. So that's a really solid preempt. I mean,
yes.
Side pleaser hand.
Even unfavorable.
I think if you went time traveled back to the 1950s or 1940s, you might find a few people who would also open a strong two with the north hand. So what's old is new again.
And East actually decided to get in with the three heart overcall. No, that's an overcall, not a jump.
Yeah, East has a tough problem over two spades, right? Because East would love to be able to. East wants to be able to bid and show their suit. They're favorable, but also all of their bids are constructive. And so, sort of modern expert standard is that we give up on being able to sort of overcall on these much weaker hands in favor of having our overcalls be more constructive. And with this, we would be kind of stuck having to pass and then come back in, right? And that's kind of scary. Here I get overcalling three hearts. Like I have to admit,
it's really I understand thinking, but also like look at how the auction's timing out. If East decides to just let it go, which I don't think East can. I think East would find it. I don't think East can let it go. Actually,
I don't think they can. Right, like they have negative amounts of defense. Their partner's expecting them to have a lot more. They're favorable. This
partner does not have defense in spades. Partner does not have ace king queen of spades on this auction.
Well, that and they're this double isn't penalty, right? This double is points. And so the only question is, as East, do I want to maybe introduce my club suit, right? And I think that if I was going, I might be able to bid 4-0 and suggest like a 6-4. But good 7-card suit, good spots. Like, okay, fine, 5 hearts is reasonable.
Yeah, and also there might be a concern that 4-0 trump or 5 clubs might be construed as like a really strong hand with hearts and clubs. Maybe he's just concerned about that.
Yeah, I think I don't think that we rate to be showing a strong hand here, because we could have just a very shapely strong hand, right? But we didn't pass partners double, and we had other actions available, So I think that,
Ooh. That's not going to be. Oh wait, there's a diamond draft available.
yeah. So this will be interesting. As East, right? I'm not sure whether I'm leading a heart or a club. I think I'm probably leading a club, honestly.
But
And
how do
on
you?
that ace of hearts, I'm gonna if it goes ace of hearts low, I should throw the king.
Yeah.
Right. I should
Yep.
make absolutely sure that no matter what partner is doing, no matter what's going on, they work out that I want a diamond rough.
Absolutely.
So sometimes it's helpful to sort of build a fence around partner. And here again, it's the same thing. Jack of hearts, low ace low. Partner's going to cash the king of clubs. And now
He
I guess
plays
the
the
only
two.
question is, do we play the 2 as suit preference, or do we play the queen and say something unusual is going on? And I think the 2 as
Right.
suit preference is.
I think 2 is probably the best card. I do not like the 8 at all, no matter what meaning, unless they play upside down suit preference, which I don't think they do.
Yeah. And
I
so
assume this was probably intended as add. No, wait, the south end is a dummy. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
On that club lead scenario, Adam, where you lead a club, partner cashes ace of hearts, you play king of hearts. Would you be worried that partner thinks you have a stiff club and something like the queen of spades? Since North's
there's a
preempt is
worry.
awfully strange.
Right. There's definitely a worry about that. I think that, the king of, that's sort of the thing where, that's not so unusual, right? To where if I just played a discouraging heart, partner should probably work out what to do, right?
Mhm.
Whereas the king of hearts is sort of an alarm clock, right? It says something weird is happening, right? And so this will actually be a double game swing.
Yeah.
For Chen team, and yeah, I mean, I think the king of hearts is sort of an alarm clock play, right? It says, hey, wake up, something weird is happening, right? And that weird thing in this case is, hey, I'm roughing a diamond.
Yep.
Right. And so sometimes, it's more about like waking partner up and saying, hey, something surprising is going on versus, just being sort of a straight, oh, I'm discouraging because I want to rough here. Right.
Do they make 6 on the lie?
And then actually, in fact, I'm just on board 21 in the U26 match. Harrison was playing in 6 spades, and Richard did lead a club to Brent's king, and Brent cashed the ace of hearts, and Richard did throw the king. And
nicely done by him.
And got himself a diamond rough. So that was well done. And board 22 is not super interesting. I mean, it's I guess a very light slam that can maybe be beat if you start with trumps. But I think reaching the slam is pretty far fetched, given that it's 21 combined and kind of a perfect fit. But I guess we'll see how with Kai and Isaac able to relay. Kai will probably find out that Isaac is 3-5-1-4. You might be able to get
the key to beating slam. Isn't it just ducking the king of spades? Isn't it just ducking one round of spades? That's the key to beating slam. Because the hearts are 3-3. So if we played ace of spades and another spade, we can just take diamond ace, diamond rough, 6 spades, and 5 hearts.
Yeah. No,
we cannot allow
I think that's
declarer to play ace of diamonds and rough a diamond, and if once declarer's ace knocks out the spade ace, there's a problem. So we need to duck the king of spades, I think. So
yeah,
if they do ace of diamonds, rough a diamond, we can rough in, and then now we can play ace of spades and cash, and the diamonds, of course, are still there.
Yeah, I think that's good analysis. And yeah, with ace sort of trumps in these sorts of spots, there's the ace of trumps, and just in general, these sorts of spots you often want to be very cautious about giving up control, right? The ace of trumps or high trump gives you control of the tempo of the hand and of sort of just how things are going to time out. And so when you have that, you have sort of full control over over the tempo of the play, and that can be really powerful. And that on this actual hand, that is what would allow you to defeat slam. So meanwhile, one other quick thing is just South alerted their pass over a diamond as a misclick. Presumably they meant to show both minors.
Yeah, but I don't imagine.
Which I agree with. But
I wonder if misclick meant that they misclicked the alert button.
Let's look.
That is, that's actually you're
more
right.
likely,
That's far more likely explanation.
If you look at the main table, so sorry, just to bring it back for a moment, a club double, 1-0 trump. E selected to double, which I don't know I agree with. And actually, there was a chance to make it if the player could have picked up queen 10, double 10, but of course, you never. I mean, it's unlikely you play for that. Of course, having made a takeout double of clubs, but now they have a set. They have 7 tricks to come in, 3 diamonds and 4 hearts, but.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on the auction? Of course, the lead was a small diamond, which I don't know.
I think I take more issue with the small diamond lead than I do with any other thing in the auction. All of this was kind of reasonable. The club opening is a little dismal, but if it's their if it's their style, and it is 11 if you squint just the right way, and West double is pretty light, but again, doubles in club, kind of the right shape for it. I don't hate it. 1-0 seems kind of reasonable, and honestly, East double does too, right? East has points. Their partner has an opening hand ostensibly, and so when they don't rate to make 1-0 trump all that often, and I think South probably could have ran to 2 clubs. South is pretty sure that 1-0 trump is not going to be a great place to play, and that they didn't necessarily have to have 5 clubs. They're pretty sure that their partner has at least 3, unless they happen to catch a partner with 3-3-5-2.
Yeah,
and even still, if that's the case, the hand may still play better in 2 clubs than in 1-0. And East West couldn't really reasonably double 4 clubs, or sorry, 2 clubs. So they would have sort of gotten out, at least escaped this problem, right? Whereas here, now they're going for 800 against air.
500.
Sorry, 500 against air. And I think South can anticipate this problem, right? That they have all slow winners. They have no aces. Their suit is kind of ratty. All of those things really point to playing in a suit contract, right? People often think, oh, I don't have aces. That suggests playing in no trump. But that's really only the case when you have all of the other suits well stopped, right? And that's usually in 3-0 or 6-0, things like that, right? When all of the other suits are well stopped. If they're not, then you wind up sort of with what happened, right? Where you have to lose a trick or two in order to set up your suits. And once you do that, the opponents have already started setting up their long suits, and you're kind of cooked, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it looks like in the slower room they let a trump against 4 spades, which given that West had relayed out their shape is pretty reasonable, and North understandably wanted to win ace and fire another trump. Maybe they could have seen the danger of hearts coming in, but and tried ducking 1 round of trump, but it's that's a pretty tough play to find, and so that'll be a push.
Yeah.
All right. So diamond pass a heart, spade overcall. I don't mind a spade overcall. It's light, but we're not vulnerable. We're on the 1 level. We have a, not good but reasonable 5-card suit. And if we don't bid now, we're not going to get a chance to bid at all. So I don't mind it.
Double presumably support.
Mm-hmm. I think it's debatable whether I would make a support double or make a trap pass, but I think support double is practical. And some people, it's worth I guess discussing for regular partnerships whether this 2-club bid is forcing. I discuss it and play it as non-forcing in all of mine, but when I was working with some of the juniors last week, I realized that was not necessarily a common agreement or amongst all of them. Either they hadn't discussed it or weren't sure. And when partner makes a support double, we haven't found a fit, right? And so we want those we want those 2-level bids, 2 clubs and 2 diamonds here, to just be sort of scrambling back to our best fit rather than forcing and exploring, right? And we have a cubit available, 2 spades, for some of them forcing hands.
Mm-hmm. And West making a pretty reasonable 2-0 trump with the 17 count. The queen of clubs all of a sudden looks a lot better now.
Yeah, I like it. Certainly they have to bid again, right? Like they haven't shown really any extras, and they could easily have a game. So I like 2-0. I think it's
needs is quick to pull that to 3 clubs. They say no, thank you.
I might just be. I think I'm just a 3-0 bidder as East. In all honesty,
that's what I was.
Partner has probably 16-17 with. They might have 16-17 with a stiff club, which is bad. So maybe maybe this is more thoughtful that I'm giving it credit for, right? Partner's most likely hand here is probably 16 or 17 points for the stiff club and 4 spades.
Probably this shape exactly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And if that's the case, that's actually really bad for you in 3-0.
You kind of want partner to have a doubleton club over here. I think West should have passed 3 clubs if 3 clubs was not like saying I'm accepting the invite with 6 clubs. I think West already showed their hand with the 2-0 trump. I don't like the 3-0 bid.
I agree. They'd already, East had actually done very well, right? Because 2-0 wasn't going to actually play that well, I don't think. At least not on best defense, but whereas 3 clubs actually really, yes, we have 2 trump losers, but we'll lose a spade and maybe a red card if we guess poorly, right? So 3 clubs
problem,
look
right?
pretty good.
We can win this time. We probably are going to fire the queen of clubs, I think, at trick 2. But if that's ducked, now we're in a bad spot. We might try a heart at the jack, just hope we have 2 entries over there so we can attack clubs. But
if we don't pick up, if we don't pick up jack doubleton of clubs, right? If queen of clubs ducked and then we cross to dummy, let's say the 10 of hearts, and assume that finesse wins, right? If we play the king of clubs and we don't see the jack, right? Then now we aren't going to have enough time to set up the clubs. So I actually think that the percentage play to take 4 tricks in the club suit, right, is when it goes queen of clubs low, we actually overtake, right? It's a little counterintuitive.
Oh,
but we are going now. We're going to take 4 club. Because now we'll have 2 dummy entries, so we can get to dummy once, drive out the remaining club honor, get to dummy a second time, and enjoy the clubs.
Yeah, right? I like that play. So you're playing for a doubleton basically.
Well, or 3-3, right? Well,
or 3-3, of course.
We're just saying, we're going to lose 2 club tricks, on our way to establishing, 4 winners here, right? So
I like that play a lot. That didn't cross my mind.
Yeah, it comes up sometimes where I guess if you had, let's say, the jack or something, now maybe it would be a little bit more intuitive, right? You leave the jack and overtake, right? It's a bit like Chris was talking about the sort of the underlead type play, right? Where when you have queen and 1 opposite ace jack 10 6, you lead low to the queen just to establish the suit. It's a little bit similar to that in that just because you have the king and queen doesn't actually, if it was the queen and the jack, right? If dummy was queen 10 9 6, then you had stiff jack, for example, right?
Yeah, then this is the play in which everyone would make their sleep.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Gavin.
Hi, Gavin. Welcome.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good. We're glad you were able to join.
I am doing great. Sorry to be late.
That's just
trying
fine.
to fit it all in.
Excitement. How are your boys doing?
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
They're watching them is a struggle. Never mind them playing being a struggle. I don't know if I could take a lifetime of UGraph watching with that much invested.
Yes. Right. No, it actually being able to see every card in this case is somehow infinitely worse, probably.
It is the opportunity that's there all the time and missed in every seat of every. It's unbelievable. It's kind of it's.
Yeah.
So what's going on? We've got a big lead for Chen. Pretty decent sized lead.
This is the USA2 semifinal. So the winner of this match, it's a one-day match, will be playing the loser of Kolesnik versus Juan who's playing the USA 1 final right now.
Yeah. And Michael Shu just misguessed heart. He was in 6 hearts doubled on the hand where we had the double game swing in this one. He was in the sort of critical position and quite reasonably played for
North for queen third.
He just played a heart to the ace and then he was done. Right, he needed to.
Oh yeah. He had a 9-card fit, right? Yeah,
which would have been quite hard, but so that he'll understandably be frustrated, but it's not crazy.
They didn't get off the spade lead.
They did not. They started ace of diamonds, and so he had an opportunity as a result of that. But that'll wind up being a pretty big swing, just imps wise here.
What's the alert on 3 clubs? I'm surprised. East chose to bid 3 clubs instead of like anything between like to no trump. I mean, we are 4 trip. We only have 3 clubs.
Yeah, so 3 clubs is alerted as a minimum. And I am not a fan of a style where we have to rebid 3 clubs on this, right? My hand looks like no trump. I have only 3 clubs. Like I want to be able to bid no trump.
I have a general rule with my partners. I feel like this might have even come up in the other broadcast that when we have an established minor suit fit, we can't stop in 2-0. And that applies in a whole bunch of different situations. But this one's the most basic one that you would talk through with your partners right away. Like when you agree to play inverted minors is, can we stop in 2-0? And I just have a strong feeling of I would really like to be able to bid 2-0 trump forcing. Sometimes that makes bidding inverted a little less comfortable. Like I had a hand on Cubids the other day where I was 3-3-3-4, where I probably would normally bid inverted, but like I don't want to really force to 3 clubs, and so I decided to respond to diamond instead. But just in the general idea is you want to be able to bid with your 18-19 counts by bidding 2-0 and then jumping to 4-0. I think that's and not having the ability to bid 2-0 forcing completely takes that out of your box, and so I feel like the odds that you need to stop in 2-0 and you're going to make 120 when you can't make 3 of a minor is like small enough anyway. So I would just rebid 2-0 with this hand. And for me, it wouldn't show minimum or maximum. The idea would just be I've got a balanced hand and partner, when they are only inviting, can retreat to 3 clubs. And then we can either bid game with the maximum or leave partner in 3 clubs if we don't want to accept game, or more commonly partner just raises 2-0 to 3-0.
Yeah, and I think on partner's actual hand, they probably would just raise 2-0 to 3-0, right? They have only 12, but they have a good 5-card support, and you did open the bidding vulnerable. So we're to shoot out our red game and see if we can take 9.
Yeah,
right?
This is definitely a good red game. I mean, it's not an amazing game, but vulnerable. You only need it to be a little bit of a little bit below average. So
right,
and you're going to take the same tricks in club. No trump. There were no roughs which were had over here. So it's
your hearts are a little exposed in no trump. That's the only difference. That's a major difference between the contracts.
Yeah.
Right, but they can't see your hands, so they're not going to find a low heart lead here from ace third. They're probably just going to lead a spade. And, you'll take your 3-spade trick.
Also, the hearts do end up blocked.
If you let the 3, they block.
Yeah. Right. If you're going to lead a heart, you would lead the 9, not the 3, to sort of preemptively start working on that. It's often right from these 3-card holdings when you're leading them, rather than leading low. It's often just sort of a bridge play to lead the middle one. Right. It starts getting the unblocking going early on.
I think the other table, they're in trouble. If you want to pull that up for a moment,
they're not really in trouble.
So 1 diamond is strong. 2 clubs, I assume, was suction. Yep. And they don't really have a great. I mean, I guess they'll play 2 diamonds double probably at the end of it.
That's interesting that they would play penalty double in this situation. I would have thought for sure this is like a takeout double spot, but maybe what was pass? Was pass? Oh, is that says I don't know, waiting undiscussed. That's what pass is.
Yeah.
That's what it seems to be above the 2 diamonds stack.
That's for the pass.
Yeah.
The 2 diamonds is passing correct. Certainly north and south are on the same page.
Like it feels like they're re-entering an auction where North could have diamonds. This is very normal to play a takeout double when the suit that they have could be length, because you like when you actually have that hand with short diamonds, you need to be able to make that bid of double. Like if you're 4-4-1-4 as just a basic example, obviously that's the textbook example. You have no bid, and you really need to get in there with the takeout double. When you have diamond length like this, there's not urgency, because one of 2 things is going to happen. Either they actually are going to have diamonds, and it's going to come back around to partner who's going to have short diamonds and be able to act either with a takeout double or with something else. Or the alternative is lefty's not got diamonds, which you think is the case. If it's I don't know, if you had that hand and you were going to do a predict, do they have diamonds or the majors? Neither one looks incredibly likely, but I would definitely think they're more likely to have the majors than diamonds, just because you have 5 of them. And so it's probably going to go 2 diamonds, pass, and they're going to bid majors on your left, 2 hearts, and then you'll get a chance to come back and bid later. So it's more normal to play takeout doubles. I don't know if they haven't talked through what they're playing here, or like you said, pass was undiscussed, so obviously they haven't talked it through. So he thought he took doubles takeout, or
I think the difference between a sort of artificial bid and a pass or correct bid is really, I guess, important to note, right? That a pass or correct bid, that could be the final contract, right? And so the hand that has that pressure on them to act immediately is the hand that has shortness, not the hand that has length. And so, I think this is kind of the case in in a lot of these auctions where, it comes up, all the time. They overcall something over or no trump. It goes 1 no, 2 diamonds, 1 major, pass, 2 hearts, pass or correct, right? Mm-hmm. Again, double is takeout, not hearts, mm-hmm. right? Even though, yes, they made an artificial bid, asking bid. And, so doubling that theoretically would be lead directing. This, the pass or correct, the fact that it could be the final contract sort of takes precedent over that and makes double, takeout.
Just to put the contrast in there, if it went 1 no trump, pass, and East balanced with I don't know why I said East, but the person balanced with 2 clubs, 1 suitor. Now that's not a pass or correct bid. It's completely artificial. They're definitely going to be bidding over 2 clubs. So now double would show clubs. And there's a big difference between those 2, for sure.
And we kind of talked about the play, but the queen of clubs was stuck. It was not overtaken like you suggested, Adam, and they took the hard finesse. Now the clubs are basically they're not going to come in. You only have 1 entry.
Yeah,
right. Well, but they are being kind of helpful here in the spade suit, at least. They picked up spades for Declarer. But Declarer, unfortunately for them, is going to have to be on lead, a fair number of times here. and they're going to have to give up something, right? They know that North. Well, actually, are they? Yeah, I guess they know that North has diamonds because North passed over the double.
Yeah,
and also the spade shift was pretty telling as well. Yeah.
So they're gonna they'll probably play ace of hearts. They'll probably just cash 3 hearts and try to pin the jack of clubs off. Lead the king of clubs off dummy, and if they do pin the jack, right, then they're going to force the opponents to let them back in their hand, since dummy will be good, right? They'll make them lead a pointy card, and hope that
you can play North in a lot of variations over here because we know North has diamonds.
Yeah, right. I mean, but unfortunately, it'll be sort of a Pyrrhic victory on on the actual hand. We'll have already lost 5 tricks by the time that we're doing.
But how is this even making even if you're saying if you overtook the queen of clubs, why does that matter? There's no second dummy entry.
It doesn't matter when the queen of hearts is offside, right? If the queen of hearts was onside,
okay.
Now overtaking the queen of clubs, you actually are going to have the tempo to you'll give up 2 club tricks. And worst case 2 spade tricks, and you'll actually have the tempo to set up the clubs, right? Whereas if if clubs are 3-3 and you don't overtake, then you've lost the tempo, right? I don't like this 10 of club play. I think our best hope is that we pin the jack, and that we're sort of forcing somebody to be on lead with just little clubs and so on. But
North should be careful not to play a club over here. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, this is okay.
You're talking about maybe is an imp even at stake 450 versus 500. It's 1 imp.
Yeah, and that's going to be a game swing in favor of Chen. So Chen is going to build their lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in the other room, it's kind of a interesting hand. They bit of a misfit. Got themselves to 3 now. I guess we'll see this hand as it comes through on the other side later on.
Club opening was pretty straightforward. South decided not to overcall 5-3-3-2 vulnerable. That's not vol. I don't know. Would you overcall that non-vol? Adam? Yeah. But vol is just a little bit too much, and it goes past a spade. North overcalls pretty normal 2 hearts. They're not really. They have an awkward hand where they're not really distributional enough to make a preemptive jump at the 3-level vulnerable, but they do want to get in there and make some noise with hearts. And actually, normally I am pretty vigilant with my students about saying if you're not good enough for a weak bid, that doesn't mean you should be overcalling 2. Like usually that means you should not be overcalling 2 as well, because you're sending a completely different message, a more constructive message when you overcall at the 2 level. But with hearts, I guess we've missed. Are we a few boards ahead on that one side, so we're not going to see that hand for a little bit. But yeah, when you're overcalling hearts, that's a little bit different than overcalling a minor. When you overcall a minor, partner's going to be thinking about bidding 3 no trump, and so having a weak hand that wasn't like distributional solid enough for a weak 3 club bid, and then turning it into a 2 club overcall, unless you and your partner are on really solid ground that your overcalls at the 2 level in minors can be done with garbage, what you're going to have happen is your partner's going to bid 2 no, or even jump to 3 no with like 10-11 points and a fitting honor in your suit and stuff, and then you have this weak hand that you're like, oh sorry partner, I just didn't want to overcall 3, and I find that a lot of intermediate players make that mistake, and so I'm constantly drilling it. But with hearts, like the hand that we saw, which we can't see anywhere on the screen, and I don't like talking about hands that we can't see, is that you just had like king jack 6 of hearts and an ace. Like you want to get it.
We're pulling that out.
There you go. So they're playing it now. Oh no, this is an old.
This is the old hand.
But you can see, king jack 6, like you want to bid, you want a heart lead, you want to be able to compete to 3 hearts. It feels like they're about to support spades anyway, but so you want to really push them up. So I would definitely poke in there with a 2 heart bid, but feel not great about it. But
so let's pop back to the faster table on board 27.
I wanted to see how the defense went because they could have said it as a card slide.
East making a bid that does not show the hand that they have. So as much as we might want to bid 2-0 natural with this hand, and apparently they're reading it, so maybe they are on the same page. But I think in this auction, right, the most likely hand that you're going to have is a hand that has 2 suits and wants to compete, right? And you don't really, if you play 2-0 as natural here, which it seems like they managed to do, then you basically you're giving up on all of these hands where you just have 2 places to play and you want to compete. You're being forced into bidding and sort of showing one of them only. Often
So
on the 3 level, which is
the other thing that's pretty important is that there's just not 25 points left in the deck, so you can't make 3-0 trumps. So it's if whether like your left-hand opponent has accounted for 11 or 10 or whatever in the aggressive opening bid world, but people play 2 spades shows something. I don't know if you can mouse over 2 spades. I'm guessing 2 spades was somewhat constructive, especially if they have that little blue thing. There.
It says 4 to 9.
Oh no, it's a little bit weak. Okay. All right, so that's a little bit more like, okay, we could have 26 points if we're opening every 10 count and raising with 4, then maybe it's possible. But the idea is that your chances you actually have a high card point game are basically non-existent in that once they start a spade past 2 spades. So there's no upside to playing 2-0 trump as so even what you're saying, Adam, obviously it's true. There are also lots of hands that you have 2 suits and need to get in. More importantly, like it's a waste of a 2-0 bid. You don't want to be in 2-0. You're actually taking your life in your hands. Even overcalling 1-0 trump at the 1 level is dangerous when the opponents don't have a fit and they just have more points than you do. You're screwed. Being in an 8 trick contract when the opponents have already said we have half of the deck is like, and then you're like, oh no, but I'm going to try to take 8 and you have to take 5, but you have more points than we do. That's not a recipe for success. So,
right.
So
well, and it's worth noting that even on the actual hand, right, once declarer sort of misplayed at trick 1, right, they should cover that 9 of diamonds with the 10.
Yep.
Sort of get themselves a little bit closer. Maybe it'll force the ace. If it drives out the jack, at least then they've sort of saw, they'll lead low to the queen later. But today it would actually have the fun effect of blocking the diamonds.
Blocking the suit, yeah.
Whereas here, declarer is about to get squeezed and go 4 off in a contract that they bid freely. They bid freely with 19 points. They caught a pretty good hand from partner, right? They caught 2 queens from partner, and they're still going 4 down in 2-0. If that isn't a good reason to maybe reconsider.
It's actually like it looks like that when as North cashes their diamonds, South is actually going to get squeezed into to have to pitch in order to actually get all of their tricks. Yeah, they have to pitch the queen or jack of spades, or North has to shift to the 10 of spades around before cashing their last diamonds. But what I'm be willing to bet that we see South come down to the last 4 cards is ace, queen, jack of spades, and the king of hearts, and then they get end played. Although it would be very, very thoughtful for them to throw the jack of spades, and it could never be wrong for them to throw the jack of spades and keep ace queen small. It's just a very mechanically difficult thing to do. It's very normal to just throw your little cards and keep your high cards. So I'm guessing that we're going to see the 9 of hearts go and the 6 of spades go, and they're going to get end played to eventually pay a spade to declare. Well, let's see if South can see it coming.
Okay, so they pitch a heart first, and this is the moment of truth.
It can't be wrong to pitch the jack of spades is the thing, because the worst case you're going to lose that last trick no matter what, and the third trick is going to be a loser. You can see that you're going to get end played to pay the king.
And it is worth noting that South did know not to lead the, they did well, leading a diamond initially. They knew declarer has to have the king of spades for the 2-0 trump call. So they definitely could have anticipated this coming. In fact, they probably should have, and knowing seeing how they made their lead.
It's interesting they chose a diamond and not a club. They had basically 2 small suit. I guess the diamonds were a little bit better, but there's no way of knowing.
It's also more clear to partner that you're leading from weakness when you lead the 9 versus leading the 5. That's although on this hand partner would see the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 jack queen, but there's something to that side of it. Honestly, there wasn't that much on that board. Weren't they probably making some number of spades the other way?
Yeah, I mean they were doing okay. Like they weren't going to be getting anywhere really because they had a minimum opener opposite
two clubs, a diamond, and then like at least a heart, and maybe a spade. But they're probably going to make two. Maybe not, but probably. Maybe if they just pound trumps at them right from the get go, then they're going to go down in two. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and it wouldn't be insane to maybe bid three hearts or something. But honestly, when you have length in in your left-hand opponent's suit, it's kind of the worst case scenario because what it means is that even if you're able to rough maybe one of them in the dummy, what's going to happen is your right-hand opponent is going to be over roughing you a lot of the time. So having length in your left-hand opponent's suit, in this sort of spot, in like sandwich position, basically, is actually really, really bad. And I think people don't really like downgrade enough or account enough for it a lot of times because they kind of miss that, the bidding is telling them how the play is going to go. And the bidding is saying, hey, all of these losers in this suit are going to be a really big problem to get rid of. And so here we see kind of a pretty normal, heart of spade, two clubs, three hearts. South, I think, correctly choosing to treat this hand as a three-card invite. And getting North, of course, is happy to bid a game. So interesting lead choice here. I think honestly, I'm probably leading a diamond from the East hand rather than the Jack of Spades, but it feels kind of natural that I'll just lead my long suit and kind of
the unbid suit,
right, like await developments, and rather than leading dummy's suit, maybe he's looking at his 9 of hearts, salivating a bit, hoping maybe I can get a trump promo. But
it was almost critical to lead a diamond on this hand, right? If partner had ace king of diamonds, then they can take the ace king queen of clubs throwing a diamond, and honestly, like it's not that, it's kind of predictable. Dummies decided to bid spades on their way to jumping to three hearts, so like they're showing up with at least 5 spades and 3 hearts, or usually 5 spades and 3 hearts, or 6 spades and 3 hearts. So the chances dummies got short diamonds that might go away on clubs are actually like pretty reasonable. This time it turns out that the ace of diamonds is on side, so this discard, which is nice and careful by North, does not really matter.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And yeah, I mean, the diamond lead just is kind of one of those things that you kind of do automatically.
Yeah, agreed.
And you don't really think too much. You don't necessarily even think that much deeper about it, so much as you look at it and you say, okay, this feels like what we need to do.
Right, and you look like having the ace of trumps is a good time to lead a doubleton, but so there is that going for it. But this is a spot where righty's probably got a doubleton or a singleton as well, for one thing. And sometimes you would look at your second heart spot and see, hey, can I get an uppercut? Can I promote? So the 9 of hearts, is that high enough? If it was a 10 of hearts, there would be more value in leading a spade. The 9 of hearts is getting there. So like there is something going for leading a spade for sure, but it's just so natural to lead the 4th suit in auctions like these. It's very routine, and the reality is what you want to do is just lead what they're leading at the other table, because leads are so random that like you could be right to lead the jack of spades, it could be right to lead a diamond, but you want to do what the field is doing and survive that trick, and then get to where get to the point where you can have full information and not be guessing as much. So yeah.
And at the other table, it looks like 3-0 against 3-0, the defense can take the first 7 tricks.
Yeah, there was a missed opportunity at the other table, but I didn't see how the play went at the other table.
I think they started with the ace of hearts rather than a low heart.
Oh, okay, yeah, that would end it.
Just Declare still doesn't have enough tricks. Oh no, the king of spades is on side.
No, the king of spades is on side. They can take 3 spades, 6 clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I think here, and of course in the other room, Declarer is going to be able to just draw trumps.
What was going on in that auction? What was one diamond?
So they're playing a
one-
strong diamond system. So their one club is sort of like a very nebulous opening. I think a diamond was sort of like any. Okay, there we go.
Artificial.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mostly game forcing.
Unless partner's like 10 to 11 balanced.
Yeah, and then East alerted their 3-club bid, I guess, after they made it, as this partner might
This is
think they
actually
have
showing diamonds.
Maybe I'm showing my age. What does per metals mean?
For metas, I think, like meta
Per meta.
about these auctions. But
Meta agreements.
But fortunately, the partner was on the same page that 3 clubs was natural.
They might have been a bit more excited if partner had diamonds.
Fortunately, so that we can go 3 down, or what? Like this is
yeah,
fortunate.
yeah.
Okay. I would like to see
yeah.
what unfortunate is if this is fortunate, or maybe I
I
don't.
mean, I have a couple examples.
A couple of examples.
I mean, actually, today we of course are doing a lot better. If partner did think we have diamonds, we probably only go 2 down and 5 diamonds.
What do we think of the 8 of hearts lead? I'm curious. Which heart we're leading from the south hand?
You know the stopper's on your right. I mean, are you worried? Like, it's not like partners got. You're not going to block the suit by leading the 8 of hearts. So it just feels more normal, like a normal lead. You might have not led a heart, but the problem is you've got the king of spades underneath what seems like a spade. The person bid 3 spades on your left, so it's not like that. Like spades might have been a possible lead, right? You might have just avoided the heart lead with the stopper being on your right. But once they bid spades naturally on your left, there's like this urgency to get your tricks now. Like if they've got spades sitting over me with the game force, and this person's got 6 clubs on my right, I can see 9 tricks. So we really got to get our tricks right now. So I don't think a diamond would have been crazy leading the last suit, like just to try to get partner in to lead hearts through. But I think the ace of hearts would not be a good lead.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just too likely that they just have 9 rippers the moment they get in. So
what is 2 clubs at the other table? That there's no.
Horses 2 diamonds. My guess is that South.
They're planning to play 2 diamonds
to escape in 2 diamonds, which, I think I might, if a diamond is just kind of natural 4+, right? I understand the urgent, the urge to get out of 1-no trump with the South hand, but there's a couple problems, right? One is that this auction in particular, 1-no could easily have a singleton spade, right? Partner could have 4 hearts and have a stiff spade and a rebid problem, right? Either 1-4-4-4 or 1-4-5-3. Partner could also have maybe, those are really the main ones, right? Where partner's rebidding a no-trump, and both of those are very much in the game, to where I really don't want to be rebidding 2 spades on the south hand when partner might be showing up with a singleton. If I am going to get out, I don't mind trying to get out in diamonds, but I think that, partner, we don't know what partner's hand is, right? Maybe they have 3 spades, maybe they have 5 diamonds, and partner will be able to play 1-no trump accordingly, right? If they have 5 diamonds, they'll establish diamonds. If they have 3 spades, maybe they'll be able to establish spades. I'm not so eager to get out of 1-no trump here, even though it certainly could be right.
What about you, Gavin, Sarik? Are you also passers of 1-no?
I'm a 2-spade bidder. I understand what you're saying, Adam, for sure, but I'm definitely it's my style to just rebid my 5-card suits. I don't like rebidding 1-no with a singleton as often. I'm more willing to rebid 2 diamonds with a 5-card suit or 2 clubs with a 3-card suit. Sometimes I will do it. I will bid a no trump with a singleton, but I don't think enough to sway all the times you have a 5-2 fit and you're going to get 2 extra spade tricks, or 5-3 fit and you're going to just do infinitely better in spades. So I think that those outweigh them. So it's definitely my style to pull.
I'm also a 2-speed bidder. I think that's also part of my style with opening and rebids. If I'm 1-4-4-4, I'll typically rebid a club, 2 clubs, unless maybe with a stiff king or stiff queen of spades, I might rebid a 1-note.
It's hard. Like when you have 4 hearts, rebidding 2 of a minor takes hearts out of the game, and bidding 1 of trump leaves hearts in the picture. So there's definitely downside, but it's yeah, exactly. But it definitely.
So in the other room on the board where we saw the 2-no overcall, I think Kai made a very reasonable choice of 3 hearts, right? It's we're bidding our long suit. It's kind of we don't actually really want to double in bid because our hand is not worth as much as it feels like. Kai might, you might choose to pass and go very low, but I think this is a reasonable option, and I think West probably could have passed 3 hearts, right? We didn't necessarily need to bump to 4.
And South, of course, with King Jack 9 forward,
they have an opinion, yes.
Yes.
And they make it known rather quickly.
I assume 2 spades was sort of constructive.
Yeah, that's the alert. Now it's interesting. Harrison actually in the U26 match chose to bid 3 spades with the north hand as a mixed raise, even though he only had 3 trumps. Looking at the void and the good 6 card suit, I kind of get it, right? And it gave East a problem.
Well, I would automatically bid 4 hearts in that spot. I don't think it's close.
Yeah, no, I think at the table, Richard actually doubled and heard his partner bid 4 hearts, and Harrison made an action.
I don't see what double. What does double accomplish?
Right, no, I agree. Like I think you bid 4 hearts, you suck it up, and you hope to make it.
Yeah. Or you hope they bid 4 spades and you get to rip. Like that's
right,
kind of
right,
more what I'm
like
thinking.
Yeah.
It's like down 1 and 2 diamonds.
Well, in 4 hearts doubled, he's got to be a little bit careful. Like I guess because they didn't continue spades, it got a little bit easier. But he's got to get rid of his spade losers and also not lose 3 heart tricks. And it looks on the surface, we can all see that the heart suit is easily playable to only lose 2 heart tricks. But if you start roughing spades in the west hand and then leading hearts towards the east hand, you're going to run into a position where the 9 of hearts is going to become a problem. So he's got to kind of stay on top of this. And I don't know if double dummy, if it's even doable. It seems like if he never touches hearts, like if he just plays like king of spades, rough a spade, he can't rough anything down in his hand. Right? Yeah, it's going to be a little bit messy. It's definitely
right.
Because
it's
South is the same shape almost.
Right. I think double dummy it's only when he doesn't touch trumps at all.
Or he sure it's a low heart out right now. Then they have to win the jack and play a spade because they're going to need to tap the dummy. Because if they don't tap the dummy, you'll be able to draw trumps ending in dummy. Right?
So a low heart right now, but that doesn't feel like the most natural play in the world. Even though we kind of know that South has to have the king of hearts, both from their opening bid and the fact that
kind of know they have this exactly, right? Like, are they really going to double 4 hearts with just? I mean, like, what other heart holdings do you think they might have in this spot? Maybe King Jack 9.
Their partner made a constructive raise.
So now, can he still do it? He ace of hearts and a heart.
I think now they can tap the dummy, and he's forced to.
Well, that 9 of spades pitch actually might have because now in order to tap the dummy, he's going to have to set up a rough and finesse in spades, and so now I think it's entirely possible that now he can just score the 8 of spades and
yes, that's exactly right. Yep.
Or no, honestly, if he played heart out now, it's going to go heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has
to cash some minor suit.
Some winners. But if he cashes both of them, he has to cash both of them, and then he leaves a low heart.
He has to cash both of them, and then play a heart out.
He's losing both. Yeah, he's gonna lose both now.
Yeah. So that'll be, I guess, 4 imps to the Gen team. They're.
At the main table,
what have we missed in the other?
Yeah, the main table. North was very passive here. I don't know what their system is. What did 2 hearts promise 5 hearts?
I'm not sure if
Hearts
it
in a
promised
minor.
5,
I
but just
believe
hearts in a minor.
I believe they play Wolsey doubles, so
Yeah, so
they
it
could
does
have shown
promise
longer
5.
minor.
Yeah, so that north hand is certainly worth a raise. I would have raised in front of the negative double. I would have found, honestly, it's close to a Q bid, although the Queen Jack of clubs, whatever a Q bid may be in your system, but the Queen Jack of clubs are not amazing cards because when partner shows hearts in a minor, you could bank pretty much that they've got hearts and diamonds. And so.
Right. Well, they have hearts and diamonds, and the opponents know to lead trumps, right? So your void,
Right.
while it's good, isn't quite as good as it might be in some
Yeah.
other auctions where it would be more surprising, right? The textbook thing when somebody shows 2 suits and the other hand shows support for one of those suits is you lead trumps.
You lead trump, yeah.
And so the north
you
hand
play
is
Juno
good,
trumpets to
but
play.
it doesn't.
I do not. I play that 2-0 as scrambling for a better
That's
minor.
what I thought is normal also.
Yeah, and even if it was to play with the west hand, we keep seeing this come up, right? I have slow winners, and my long suit has slow winners. I'm going to have to lose aces and kings in order to set up my long suits. I want to play this in a suit contract, not in no trump.
I would have bid 2 spades, honestly, with the east hand over the double. I wouldn't even be bidding 3 clubs in the face of them showing hearts in a minor. Just be trying to stop low.
Yeah. I agree.
And like you said, Adam, we have to set up the diamond suit, but I mean, now we only have 1 entry to the dummy, and the diamond ace has not been knocked out, so
right,
diamond.
Exactly.
So basically, we're going to play the entire hand from our hand, entire contract from our hand now. After besides the 2 spades we will get.
Right. I mean, I guess we're going to be able to scramble home 8 tricks, right? Because we're going to kind of be able to we're going to cash some black cards and then dump south on lead, and they're going to have the choice of giving us the king of hearts or giving us diamonds, right? Because we can kind of play the hand as an open book once north shows out in diamonds, right?
Actually,
we start the play, we're not sure.
So we might be able to pitch all the hearts and then and play the dummy. Actually, especially after the game clubs cash. We just pitch hearts now, right? Ooh,
so we're gonna play 2 spades, and whatever happens, right? South is going to have to win the queen of diamonds, and they're going to be forced to give us at least 1 more trick, right?
Yeah. We're just trying to make 2. Yeah. Sorry, I thought we were in 3 for a moment.
Yes, if we're in 3, that's a different story. I agree. So, interestingly, the other room. They had overcalled the no trump with the north hand. It's again, I really am a broken record here, right? We have king, queen, jack, king, queen, and we're 5-4. Our hearts are really good. Please bid a heart.
Yeah, I would just go I would go so far as say you should almost never overcall a no trump with a 5-card major. It's totally different than opening a no trump with a 5-card major, where you have a rebid problem and that's your so you're trying to solve an issue. Overcalling a no trump with a 5-card major, I've had so much bad experience with it. I've both with myself and my partners, and I've just seen it over and over again. It's really important to overcall heart. You're not gonna miss game. Because partner's going to raise you or do something, or they're going to make a negative double. Partner will redouble. You're going to hear about points. So getting to game is not going to be an issue.
Well, and game deserved to be punished, right? So Kai did well. He led a diamond to partner's ace, and partner shifted to a heart, and the 6 of hearts, which feels pretty readable, right? There's not many. The 6 looks pretty high here. And so, if Kai was able to read this, right, he knows that Declarer certainly doesn't have 6 hearts. And so he could actually duck the ace of hearts. And this way, when partner gets in with the king of spades, they'll be able to play a heart to my ace, or, to his ace and get a heart ruff. So I think that was actually potentially findable. Now, of course, Declarer can counter that because once he ducks the heart, Declarer then plays 3 rounds of clubs, shedding a heart from the dummy, and I think they should find that, right? And they'll
absolutely.
I think they had the spade spots for it, but I actually didn't look that close.
They were off the jack and king. There were no other spades. I mean, they might have been
actually, it is still enough because the third heart then kind of creates a trump promotion, assuming declarer doesn't get spades right? Is playing spades.
Who had the 9 of spades? I forget.
Declarer did. That's the point, right? Is that if declarer plays 3 rounds of clubs, right, and then they play the queen of spades, that's not going to be enough, right? So declarer has to play 3 rounds of clubs. They have to play a 4th club, roughing it in the dummy, I believe. And on that 4th club, I think East can actually rough ahead of dummy and still ensure that there's still like a trump promotion. So it's very interesting defense. But in any case, so one of our tables, it looks like, I guess, has already finished because it was on board 30.
This is the second last board, and the lead has increased quite a bit now.
Yeah, they've added 45 imps, 55 imps this set, it looks like. So
wow,
really piling it on. So Eckert needs to sort of turn things around pretty soon. So it's a 60 board match, so they have 31 boards.
Passive 1-0 again.
I think, well, especially when partner opens a club, I think passing a no trump is okay. Actually, when partner opens a club, partner's much less likely probably to have a stiff spade, because they might, at least if they were anticipating their rebid problems, it's really only when they're 1, 4, 3, 5 that they might have a stiff spade, and some of those might rebid 2 clubs, maybe, right? For me, I tend to sort of account for it over a diamond, but over a spade, I like to just have rebid 2 clubs sometimes with 5 and have 1 note be more real.
I guess
so here I might actually rebid 2 spades, but
I guess 1, 3, 4, 5 as well.
Yeah.
1, 3, 4, 5. You're usually
partner
opening a diamond and bidding 2.
Right, they might have opened it. Or if their clubs were good, they might have rebid 2 clubs.
Let me see what their 2 or 1 system is, like what their club and diamond is. So they pay 5, 5, 4, 2, but
so he's got 4 spades, 2 clubs, and a heart, or no, 3 spades, 2 clubs, and a heart.
Yeah.
And he can afford to actually throw 2 diamonds on this layout, but I guess it's East West already has 5 tricks in, and they can take the ace king of diamonds. So
we can now play a heart.
It doesn't matter what they do; they're going to end up with 2 tricks for sure.
Yeah.
Unless he plays the ace of diamonds, and even shift to a heart. No, there's no squeeze now because the heart would take out the entry. Yeah, there's no way. He's definitely down 1.
And after this table finishes number 30, I guess we can go over and look at the U26 match, because one of the tables is running very slow and still on board 27.
27.
Like one team actually already had gotten a time penalty to start, so they're definitely.
What would that be?
I believe
I looked, and the 3 penalty imps for 1 are actually for a late arrival to this set. Rather than slow play.
I see.
I
see. Okay, that explains a lot. Yes. All right. Thank you.
And who's playing in Team 1 this set? Richard, Brent, and
David and Korn and Brent and Richard.
Okay.
Yeah. So that explains why they are on bidding board 27 with 10 minutes left in the round.
Looks like down 1, so push. East will be opening a strong diamond, so we're going to again see some variation. South, it looks like they play suction, so they might overcall some number of spades. And then, no, not clear how the auction proceeds after that. I'm surprised East West do not are not familiar with their defense after a suction interference, because I think a lot of junior partnerships are playing suction over a strong club and presumably also over a strong diamond.
I really dislike suction, actually, because
I do too.
Right, like it doesn't. The one goal I have always, right, over a strong club is to get the auction, or a strong diamond, is to get the auction back to the strong artificial opener at the 3 level. And it's much easier to do that if we can overcall sort of conservatively, or not have to jump as overcaller, and put added pressure on as responder when we found a fit, right? Because it's much safer and much better to sort of preempt and bid a lot when we have a known fit. And so my priority over these bids is to get in there, but to get in there in a way that allows us as responder to be the one that's doing a lot of the high preempting, so that we're still getting it back, but it winds up being a little bit less risky. Right here, if South didn't find 3 hearts from partner, and in fact partner had, let's say, only a doubleton heart, right, they might be getting carried out on the 3 level, where had they just been able to bid their suits, right, they would when partner has support, they'll raise, and great, we've gotten the auction higher. And when partner doesn't have support, we're sort of a little bit lower and less likely to go for a number against what might be air. And so I think this philosophy, this philosophy is not shared amongst a lot of juniors and so on, but it really is, I think.
I would say that just to add that, I think that the reason is that newer players struggle to deal with suction, but more established players are much better at handling it. So it's ineffective against good player, like against experts who are in practice. And so that's why what you're saying is 100% true. I've been finding this a lot, like where I've been preaching to my students specific things the way I play them. And like, as an example, sound overcalls over 1-0. Like when your right-hand opponent opens 1-0, actually having your bid in the direct seat so that you can actually find game over a 1-0 trump bid, which has become kind of common expert practice because people open 1-0 trump on garbage, and we've realized that you can often make game the other way in a major particularly, but in general. And so you have to be constructive in that direct seat so that you can afford to bid game in partner seat. And so I preach this to my students. I preach it to my students, and then. But the reality is that if you go to the bridge club and you overcall garbage over 1-0, people don't play Lebensol. They don't know how to handle it. It's like it's a totally different animal where you have so much upside for just getting in there that who cares if you miss games? You're going to get all these good value back from just making opponents who don't know how to handle interference over no trump do bad things. So it's a little similar with the strong club. I think it's come full circle. I think there was a time when everybody was playing garbage where you had unknown suits like crash and but then what happened is the expert world adjusted, and then it became more important to go exactly what Adam said, is find those fits, show natural suits so that we can take up room as partner. It's critical. So one thing that people have started playing now is at the 1 level natural, and at the 2 level some kind of multi-landy system where you can you can jump to 2 of major to show a major and a minor with a hand like this, where you're kind of taking up some of the room, making it harder for the west hand. In this auction, it would be the west hand that where making it so that, like, there's certain thresholds where different strong club players play their double changes from 5 to 7 to game force. I think a lot of them, it's 2 hearts is the spot where double stops being 5 to 7 and starts being game forcing. And so by getting the 2 hearts quickly, there's also a pretty big advantage there, because you can cut off the west hand from saying, like, I got something over here, and that makes it a lot more difficult for them, for sure. It makes it, when opener balances, does West need to act with 5 points, or it gets a lot more complicated. So getting the 2 hearts quickly, in particular, 2 spades for sure. Most people these days are playing those doubles or game forcing, and so those are useful. It's useful to get there.
So East has violated rule number 1 of doubling part scores, and of when they have 2 suits and take a preference to one of them. Right, especially
the
the partner is penalty doubling the other one, right? is we lead trumps. At every opportunity we are on lead, we lead trumps. If we run out of trumps, we get to partner so they can lead trumps. And if there are no more trumps left, then great, it's no trump. Let's start running our suits, right? At every legal opportunity, I am leading a trump, right? Especially with the East hand, where I have everything, I have all the things covered. I'm not too worried about them, running something in my face. Like the only thing I want to do is to make sure that they don't get roughs.
So can he? He's close to being able to take the rest of the tricks here. He's like
right.
Yeah,
it's too late now, right? Like having led the club, I now Declarer is already well on their way to setting up their club suit, right? And
we should not cover this.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, I think he can.
Oh wait, rest is no trumps. Yeah.
I think he can take the rest of the tricks. I think he has all. He can make 12 tricks on this hand at this stage because of the.
I think not quite 12.
No, there's double the king.
Oh, because he can't rough. He can't rough two diamonds. He can't rough two diamonds in dummy, right? Because the diamonds are 6-2. Yeah, I missed that for sure.
But a whole lot of tricks, and had we started with a trump, right? Declarer might have then played a club at trick 2, and we would win and maybe be in a similar spot, but we'd at least be a little bit closer to stopping Declarer from roughing his losers, and we wouldn't have given up that valuable tempo of we might have now been able to, let's say, play a spade and cut Declarer off from the club suit. Whereas here we were already kind of.
This is fine. Yeah, this is perfectly fine. Now you can just play Ace of Hearts, Queen of Hearts, or
right.
Although like double dummy, he could play Ace of Diamonds, Ace of Hearts, Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, Ace of Hearts, Queen of Hearts is normal.
So I'm getting a phone call from Jenny, and I'm guessing it's to talk to my boys between sets. So I'm gonna run, and thank you guys very much for having me.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gavin.
Wait.
It looks like he didn't get rid of that last heart, which seems like
which is a bigger. I mean, that could have been a big error on a different day.
Right. He doesn't know how the clubs are splitting, and if East actually had started with a doubleton club, it could have been a very fatal error. Right. So
no, he would have still made, because the King of Hearts was the only heart remaining, and he would have started Queen of Hearts and Ace of Diamonds still. So he would have made, but
yeah, I guess I'm not counting his winners. But yeah, like that.
He would have made 3, but he would have made 3 when he could have made much more. In fact, he probably should have made more as it is.
Well, I think making 4 Making 4 seems reasonable at least, and hopefully it's certainly a useful point. Again, if we lead trumps on this hand, the things are going to time out very differently, right? If we start a trump, then yes, Declarer might still be able to sort of scramble everything, but it's going to be a lot harder.
So it looks like the margin is now 48 imps, so it's slightly increased again this set.
Yeah,
because it was 30 and some change, right? Going
into 12 so far this set.
12, okay. Looks like other table made 4 hearts. So you're probably going to reach 4 spades, given the 1-0 opening. And
and this is
talked about the hard switch briefly.
Exactly. So on a diamond lead, right? Diamond lead to the ace and a heart return, which is certainly what I think Finn should return, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the only he might have a problem as to does partner have the king of diamonds, right? If partner has the king of diamonds, then we might need to cash another diamond right now. But he has to be thinking, how are we actually going to beat this, right? We're, if we get two diamond tricks, that means partner doesn't have really anything else. So we're we're going to get 2 diamonds and a spade, and that's the end. So we kind of need to come up with some other idea of how we're going to get 4 tricks, right? And so one of the ways we're going to get 4 tricks here, right, is if partner has the ace of hearts, we might be able to get a heart ruff, right? And so when we get ace of hearts, heart ruff, ace of diamonds, king of spades. So I think Finn can work out to shift to a heart, and at this point, it's it seems pretty clear. Cornelius should play probably the queen of hearts from his hand because he wants them to win it. Yep. If he plays low,
in case it could be king jack 6. In case it could be king jack 6 or something from East perspective.
Right. He could also play the king, and maybe make it look like he has misguessed hearts. That's a.
What is the alert on 3 hearts? Is that like is that like force in the game or invitational? Shortness, slam try, or choice of games? Or
yeah, so it looks like
it's a
Jacob
choice
is
of
maybe
games. It looks like.
Yeah, so Jacob is maybe choosing to treat this as only a 5-card suit and make a choice of games, 3 no bid basically, and that may actually be quite costly today because while 4 of a major is a very good contract and even 4 spades would need very careful defense to beat it, right? Again here with the north hand, because we have to lose the lead multiple times while setting up our long suits, the opponents are going to be able to establish their long suit in time. And so, again, arguably maybe even Corn should choose to play 4 spades over the choice of games, just because his hand is so soft, right? But it looks like here Jacob has maybe shown 5-3-3. Jacob has probably shown 5 spades and a hand that demands partner to pull with 3-card support is my guess. Or if he hasn't, that seems like her to me. As it is, I don't really like hiding the 6th spade because partner isn't going to be able to sort of judge accurately. But maybe this auction does show 6 spades and he's just not explained the bids that well.
The south hand is quite sharp. The hand is it's pretty much like ace doubleton, jack doubleton. That feels quite more suited than it is no trumpy to me.
Yeah, right. Now, across the board, the north-south hands are very suited, right? So we'll get to see exactly what we're talking about, right? So on the diamond lead, right? Finn will win and should be able to work out to shift to a heart.
And Cornelius should stick the queen.
Michael work out to duck it. Gordon should probably play either king or queen. I
think queen. Oh, jack.
Jack feels wrong. No, because from king jack, or the jack does not feel like right here, right? Like I think king is probably the most, generally in this spot, right? You want to be playing second hand high. You're kind of trying to, you're essentially carding as if you were on opening lead in some sense, right? And so what would you lead from king queen jack? Well, you'd lead the king, right? So you play the king.
But we do want them to win the trick, right? I think king is probably easier to duck. Unless you think it's like naked king or something, which maybe
exactly. Which it is very plausible that Finn has the queen of hearts, that Declare has misguessed hearts, right? So I think the king is a reasonable shot. The queen is also, I guess, viable, right? Make it look like king is the Finn is led from the king, but I think the king is the right play, right? Because the queen here, right, the 6 is high enough that Michael can actually work out that Declare must have king queen, and as long as Declare has king queen, it has to be right to duck. But the jack is very suspicious, right? It can't be. It isn't the right play.
No.
Holding, and the Michael misses this opportunity, right? Had he ducked, Declare has to be really, really careful, right? And I really don't like it. Winning the ace and breaking a new suit, like I just don't see.
Partner has the spade king, we're not beating the contract. The club king, we're not beating the contract.
Exactly. Like we need something good to happen that we and both East and West can kind of see that they need something more than just sheer high cards to beat. So I think had East thought about it a little more, they could have ducked. Now Declare, it's interesting, right? Like they do have a counter, right? They can play 3 rounds of clubs and pitch a heart. But now things start getting very messy because now they have to either play spades out of their hand or they have to play 4th club and let East drop.
Wait, this is
still fine.
Actually, no, this is fine. Yeah, they're just going after double finesse.
It's only the danger was only there if they were.
If the heart had been ducked. Yeah.
Now it's just call.
Here's a bit of a strange question.
Back, that's the end.
Yeah, what's up, Sarik?
Would Declare be allowed to think on the heart switch? Would Declare be allowed to think for a bit and then play the King of Hearts? That kind of looks like perhaps coffee housing, like as if they had a King Jack guess. But maybe they can actually think about what is the most deceptive card. I'm curious.
They cannot. The thought is more deceptive than any card that they play. And so, when you're choosing between equal honors, you really can't be thinking. And I think if Declarer did think and play King, that they should be ruled against, right? They should, sort of assume this is a case where you kind of assume malice. And in fact, if you're trying to decide, if you're thinking because you're trying to decide how to deceive your opponents, and it turns out that actually the most deceptive thing that you did was to think, that's 100% not okay.
That's good to know. Thank you.
And so, if you, one thing you might do though, right, is when you see the dummy before you call a card at trick one, right, you can kind of see what's about to happen, right? You can kind of see that righty is going to win the ace of diamonds. And you might think about, before you call a card from dummy, right, when you actually have time to think about the whole hand, right, you might pause and say, well, what's something that's likely to happen? Well, righty's going to win the ace of diamonds, and they might play a heart. And if they do, what heart should I play? And that's the time to think about it, right? Yeah. So here it looks like, this is kind of a natural auction where Michael.
One heart might have shown an unbalanced hand, and then West made an invite. Notice to jump to 3 clubs because they know their partner is unbalanced. Otherwise, West might have bid a no trump themselves.
Yes, and I think that Michael probably should have just did a no trump rather than a heart here. All of his
4
cards,
small hearts,
ace queen doubleton and ace jack doubleton. Right?
Like,
yes,
11 off your 12 points are on your short suits.
Right, in the 2 suits that he's shown lengthen, he has 1 high card point. And over 3 clubs, right, which is just natural invitational, he still has a terrible minimum opening hand, right? He opened vulnerable. He has all of his high cards are in their short suits, which is terrible for game. And just everything really suggests that we don't want to be, that we don't want to be in game. And so it is worth noting.
3 clubs.
Well, so it is worth noting that Cornelius's choice to pass this 12 count, right, which is a little offbeat, a little unorthodox, especially for juniors, will actually potentially be paying a dividend here, right? That it kept his side out of maybe going down vulnerable in something, and it also sort of let his opponents get a little bit too high. Right, and 3-0 is going to have a very bad time here. It looks like Declare is probably going 2 down now. They're going to lose 3 spades, 2 clubs, and the ace of hearts, and that'll be 8M spec to 1.
I guess you went for passing 12 counts. I owe you an apology, Sarik.
Yeah, I mean this. I don't think that
as someone who does pass 12.
Yes.
No, because Sarik is the only other junior I know who passes 12 counts.
Yes, I do it occasionally,
and I think
with very conservative partners, but
I think red, if you're going to do it, is the best time to do it because at those colors is the greatest chance that you're going to be going for perhaps 200 if you open the auction, and your opponents might be going for 200 if you pass and defend.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if there is a time to do it, this is the right colors and the right situation. But it's nice and it's rare to see it in action. So yeah, Declarer has established his clubs, but too little, too late. The defense can run a bunch of spades, and maybe Declarer can use the time while he's pitching on those spades to think about how he had bid 3 no trump with his debt minimum with no good suit, and to consider that if his suit was better, maybe he would have been able to set it up in time, or if he had a little more. So yeah, this will be 2 down.
I guess one other thing to think about in the choice between passing 3 clubs or betting 3-no is you might think that you have already found a better spot than the other table by getting to 3 clubs as opposed to 1-no. Looks like you found a club fit. I know your seats are bad, but it's definitely conceivable to think that 3 clubs was playing better than 1-no.
Yeah, that's very true, right? If partner has a 4th club, that's a good point. Then we may have already kind of won the day by choosing, perhaps a little, unorthodoxly to show this as an unbalanced hand, right? Rather than sort of showing our suits, and that it could have already sort of won the board. So yeah, I agree. And at this point, it's just when do they want the heart? Do they want it now or do they want it later? Yes, they want it now.
Who's this?
And
oh yeah, this one.
yes. So the other room.
Do we know what the auction?
No trump.
Okay, we can see it at the right.
Yeah, exactly. So no trump, 2 hearts and a minor, 2-no, and I think North made the very reasonable decision not to show an invite, right? For all the reasons we were talking about before, and just compete to 3 hearts, and that was kind of the end of things. But we're deviating here. So Brent chose to bid 2-no, trying to get out in diamonds. And Finn is trying to keep spades in the picture with this negative dummy.
This actually does bring up something worth talking about. Like, let's say it goes to 1-0 trump, and I'm assuming this might have been what Brent was considering, because obviously you do want to play in spades if partner has a fit. But maybe if it goes 1-0, 2 hearts double, let's say somehow the auction times out in a way where East is not forced bid, like maybe North bids 2-0 trump, bid your minor, pass 3 clubs, and now would West 3 diamonds be forcing or non-forcing? Maybe this one might have been what Brent was anticipating.
Right. Well, so I think if you double and bid 3 diamonds, probably it should be forcing. Some of it also depends if you have like a transfer Lebensfall type thing.
Right.
It's a little tricky. But you're right. There is like 1-no, 2 hearts double. 3 clubs pass or correct, pass 3 diamonds, right? Like, is that forcing? And I think that is to me. But it's not totally clear. So Finn choosing to lead a spade again.
He didn't lead a trump.
Stiff trump. But a spade actually is somewhat effective here, because it turns out that kind of the theme of the hand is that we actually have to kill the dummy, as it turns out, right? Because the clubs are so good.
And
so
knocking out the ace is a good way to do that.
Right, exactly. So Declare is going to lead a club, and East has a tough problem, right? Do they win, or do they fly, or do they duck, right? If Declare has a club void, it feels kind of silly to be flying ace. But if Declarer has stiff 10, as they do here, we obviously want to do that. So here it looks like maybe they've kind of caught on to how they're going to beat Declarer, right? Which is that we're going to tap him rather than lead trumps. And so on this hand, that actually winds up being very effective. Where if they played trumps, it might make things much easier, right? So now they have 2 tricks in the bank. They're bound to get a heart trick, and Declarer is a little short on Declarer's doesn't have enough entries to dummy now to enjoy all of their clubs. So with East being able to overruff dummy and diamonds, things are starting to Declarer won't be able to sort of do everything.
If East had 3 diamonds, would be a different problem altogether.
Right, exactly. I think if East had 3 diamonds, Declarer might just be home, right?
Then in terms of what East maybe should be doing, because I think everyone knows what South's minor is, and everyone can probably guess about this shape, give or take. Note that West did not bid 2 spades or did not transfer to spades, so we do know that South probably is about this shape, maybe 2-5-4-2, but Finn did not lead a stiff club, which he might have otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think the only question is whether Declare could have been 2-5-6-0. But which is why Michael maybe had a problem on the club from dummy. But if Declare is 2-5-6-0, our chances of beating the hand are not amazing. Like maybe we have a shot, but it certainly looks a lot better if our club survives. So I think Michael made the right decision to win the club. And he won the ace just as a sort of slight false card, right? He wouldn't probably play the king from king empty here, right? So by winning the ace, he at least keeps Declare a little bit in the dark as to what the hand is actually is, right? Maybe he would win the ace from like ace and one or ace third, but he wouldn't necessarily fly king from king and one or king third. Maybe he should, but it's a lot harder of a play to find. So winning the ace is sort of a small false card, but partner will kind of at least expect or at least consider that, especially when Declare doesn't unblock the king under the ace, right? It sure looks like partner's won this from ace king. And so now, Declare is going to try to rough some diamonds. Probably, I thought he might have pitched a spade there rather than a club, but
he might be planning on roughing the spade back.
Yeah, exactly.
Club,
right. Well, he'll rough a club this time around, and I think Michael should cover this. Right.
Yeah, he's just paused long enough to know that everyone knows they have the king now.
Right. Well, that and unlike in some cases where we might want to duck to prevent Declare from setting up the suit, here we're not actually worried about them setting up the suit anymore because they can't get back to dummy, right? We're about to be over roughing in diamonds, so they no longer have sort of any entries back to dummy to enjoy the suit. Dummy is dead, and so
after we over rough, what is our plan? I mean, I guess we just sit pretty and wait. We just sit pretty and wait.
And return a trump, cut them off from dummy, and partner can enjoy their diamonds at the end.
Yeah.
Do we know partner's diamonds are good?
We do not, but we assume that partner has at least something in diamonds. So interestingly, he chose to rough this anyway. I don't really like that play, especially when East thinks a long time and plays low. That feels
then we could have roughed a spade, and then we might have.
So now Michael can kind of do anything, right? He could return another low club, and which now Declare is forced to rough, or he could just return a trump, and all roads kind of lead to the same place since partner has good diamonds. But I think he probably should play another low club now, just in case, sort of make sure that Declare is forced to rough, and that we now have more trumps than Declare. Kind of can't really cost to do that, and. So that'll be there's probably going to be 2 down, so 7 imps for Kolesnik to finish up the set. So they'll have picked up 11 more on this set, looks like. And so Declare will have a small Pyrrhic victory of having end played the metric 12 for 2 down. And so 7 for Kolesnik. So they've extended their lead a bit.
And it looks like it's a 50 imps with 2 segments to go. Definitely doable.
Yes, doable, but they need to start sort of picking up steam, or they'll be hurting, right? 50 imps it is a lot in the best of cases, and against a team that's strong and not going to give you as many opportunities, you really do have to pick up on as many of those slip ups or misadventures that happen. You really want to be sort of maximizing those wherever you can. So certainly doable, but will be exciting to watch the finish.
Absolutely. And in the one-day knockout matches, we have 2 USA2 affairs. In the USA2 under 21, we can see Good versus He. That is now 75 imps at the halfway stage. Again, both reasonably solid teams, but he needs to start picking up steam. Otherwise, it's going to slip away. Chen and Eckert, that has gone even more. Of course, we saw the second segment. How many games is that? 85. Yeah, they're running out of time. They need to start.
Yeah, exactly. So the teams that are down really do need to start treating this as a matter of great urgency, right? It's much harder to make up 50 in 15 boards than it is to make up 50 in 30 boards.
Yep.
So I wouldn't necessarily be swinging for the hills just yet, but certainly if there's a close action, let's say, you have a choice of who you take, who you finesse or something like that, right? Sometimes you can be a little bit more cautious on those sorts of things in favor of So anyway, I guess I'm going to hop off, and I'm actually heading down to Charleston tonight, and
Exciting.
I have a slight rooting interest because I'm supposed to be playing bridge with Finn tomorrow. But if I am
about that,
playing, then I'll probably be playing with his dad. So that's not
okay.
Either.
All right. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Sarik. Is there anything you guys want to plug or anything you want to tell the viewers before you guys head out?
Donate to the USBF Junior program. They are awesome. Amber does amazing work, and I guess it's a day too late for last tax year, but new tax year. So definitely something worth supporting. The training camp, I think, was really, really good for everybody, especially some of the kids that otherwise, might not have had access to these opportunities, might not have, been able to sort of do a couple days of like high level bridge training. It's a really great resource, and I think it was well done, and I'm very hopeful that we'll do lots more of them, because last time we did one was in 2013. So that, and please, if you have long suits with slow winners, consider playing in suit contracts. I've said it like 8 times in 2 days, and so
Yep, it's a recurring theme for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'd give a shout out to all those people that Adam mentioned who were mentoring during that training program, including Adam himself. It takes a lot of volunteers and effort for a lot of people to make that happen. And it's awesome that they were able to do that this year.
Yeah, thanks. All right, I will see you all later. All right. We'll probably hang out in the chat a bit and enjoy the commentary passively. So,
thank you so much, Adam.
Together, and see you later.
Thanks, I will head out as well.
All right, thanks, Sarik.
Thanks.
All right, so with that, we'll be taking a short break for about I think we'll be back live in less than an hour. Cyrus, do you know the exact time?
Yeah, it should be just about an hour, since the bridge will start at 3:45 Eastern.
Yep. And for the next segment, it'll be the final segment of the Rona Finals. So the Rona Finals was segment. We'll go over the standings later as during our next part, and yeah, stay tuned for that so we can see who gets to represent the USA internationally in the U26 women's category. See you then.